act like it's your first time.
Cowgirl boots on. That's what.
Yeah.
20 toes on.
Yeah, big old feet. Big old. Ashley wears smaller shoes with her toes like this.
I do. So my feet fit in them.
Yeah, so she can
literally
appear
do.
to have smaller feet.
No, you're tall though. That would be
Yeah.
weird.
So you
It
want
is
me
weird.
to
She
have
does that all the time.
gigantic toes and feet?
Well, you do. That's the reality. So just
You barely ever see them.
buy shoes that fit. Buy shoes that fit. One day I'm like, my foot is just barely bigger than hers. So I was
No,
lined
it's not. It's a lot wider. That's for sure.
Yo, mama. No, one day I lined up. I'm like, let's put our feet by each other, and then mine was just barely like this. I said, how am I a men's 10, but you wear a men's 7.5? I said that doesn't make any. That doesn't, or 8.5. Men's 8.5. I said, how do you wear a men's 8.5?
7.5.
7.5. Men's 7.5. Yeah, because she wears a women's 9. And so I said, and in women's shoe, I would be an 11.5. So I said, math doesn't make any sense. How's our feet? How's mine barely bigger? So I said, oh, how does your feet look in the shoes, in the women's shoes? And she's like, oh yeah, they're like, oh, my toes are scrunched. They're like,
Yeah.
I was like, that can't be comfortable. She's like, well, it looks fine. So
It looks fine.
I don't ever complain my feet hurt. So.
that's crazy. Even when you play professional soccer, your cleats were all like,
Oh,
your
no.
toes were all-
I made sure
You
they
were,
were. Yeah.
you were size 15?
I made sure those were big.
So what soccer cleat size were you?
10.
Dang.
Not like Kevin Hart. Oh, you better stop, Pastor Adam. Oh my God.
They had to customize shoes.
That's not even that big because the socks are thick.
Yeah, it's the socks. Yeah.
You have some nerve. You have some nerve.
But if you bag the baddie.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to talk about your feet because let me just leave them alone.
My feet are fine. Beautiful. Beautiful from the inside out.
No, them toenails as long as them shoes. You just let them grow.
I cut them. I be cutting
Yeah,
them.
you cut grass with them. It's just like,
No. I cut my toenails.
You ever cut his toes?
oh my God. Absolutely not.
Change a baby's diaper, but you can't.
Right. She's crazy. She don't be.
Feet are nasty. Feet are nasty.
Cut toenails?
Nope,
I would
nope.
rather cut toenails.
I'll cut your nails. I'm not cutting no feet. No, absolutely not. Them toes is nasty. And they got the toe cheese and the hair and the lint in between the toes. Absolutely not.
Maybe hers do. I don't know.
Every time I see
the way
yours,
she
yours just
be
looks
doing-
yours just looks sweaty. They look sweaty. Like they just
They look sweaty. No,
they look sweaty. They just
I keep my stuff clean.
and then you got them long hairs that are just like
I actually in the shower. I actually wash my feet. Unlike you
oh no,
dirty.
we've talked about
You
that.
dirty.
People not using washcloths and I don't think
people
you
use
want
their hands and stuff. That's disgusting.
nasty. That
All these
washes
people
and-
walking around dirty.
and you
Most people we know they've been using their
washing it.
hands.
Use your hands and then you're going to shake a hand.
Jeez. Where we
They're
going?
like, well, yeah, with soap.
What about men getting like pedicures?
Oh, he needs them.
Manicures.
Once
As
you
long
find-
as it's not colored.
in the
it's
masculinity.
Yeah, I can't.
Oh no.
Don't get French tip and we're
Hey.
matching.
Oh,
bestie.
we went on.
I can't get with that.
Yeah, when we went
Or
to Hawaii.
Even clear. I don't know.
No, we went to
coat.
Hawaii and I seen this man's blue toes. I said, Lord have mercy. You got them blue
And
toenails
don't
on.
come for us. If your
can't.
kid painted or whatever.
You take
But
them on
if
that
you're
night. Take them off that
intentionally-
night. Your daughter wants to paint. Oh yeah, paint them, and then she walks away, and you just get that acetone or whatever. They just take it right.
If we
off.
ever had
You're
a daughter and she painted your nails,
No.
absolutely not. That's what a woman in the house is for. She ain't painting your nails. That's ridiculous. Call Elze, call Nancy, have her come over.
Yeah.
Have a girls' day.
Yeah,
I'm not for it. I don't want my nails painted.
Yeah.
But a cleanup is fine. They even have a men's.
Yeah, I
like,
mean, I
oh
get,
no,
I get
he
manicures and
he gets
pedicures.
manicures. Yeah, absolutely.
manicures and pedicures.
Well, I get
places.
pedicures. I don't really get. I get manicures sometimes,
Sometimes,
but
yeah.
mostly
If you're
pedicures.
a man and your hand's smoother than mine, that's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's
I won't
crazy.
mention any names, but
Oh.
there's so many here that it got really
They got soft hands?
Like
I do use a lot of lotion on my hands.
Let
but,
me feel them.
My hands are soft. My hands are soft. Yeah, shut up.
They something. They not
I be taking
soft.
care. I be the oil.
I wouldn't
lotion
want
on
your
my-
hands to be soft. I'd be
No,
like
not too soft.
you.
You're holding a girl's
Soft-ish.
hand.
Soft dish. What do you want? You want to hold sandpaper?
Yes,
Nancy?
absolutely. Like you've been to work. You're working.
My career is not manual labor based, so
You better figure it out.
You want me to just be in the backyard picking rocks and throwing them up just to
You
get?
you pick up a rock and just rub it between your fingers.
No, but you do.
I'm gonna just be everywhere I go. Everywhere I go, I'm just gonna start. They're gonna be like, "Oh, where do you want your burger?" I'm gonna just put it in my hands.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trying to make it. Trying to just put the patty right there.
Yep.
My wife wants the coarse hands.
Man hands.
Get out of here. Get out of here with
I
that.
have soft hands. I have soft hands.
No.
Touch your hands.
No, hers are crusty.
Soft. They glisten. I have big hands, but they glisten. They're nice.
They glisten.
Soft. Nice and soft.
Yeah.
You're just a hater. That's haters. How many wives y'all got some hater
right.
husbands? Just you be hating for no reason.
You can't be perfect. Your
Yeah,
hands
but
definitely ain't. Your
I'm
feet and
close.
hands, God gave up.
9.75 here. 9.75 here.
God went like this. God went like this. Woo, and then he got to your feet and your hands. He was like, "Well, let's gotta equalize this somehow."
Yeah, don't roast me like that. I'm trying, but
Nancy's like, no.
She's like, "Don't do
Get
me
off
next.
this
Don't
mic.
me
Oh
next."
my god.
get off this mic before I get roasted.
Gosh. No.
All right, Alize, what was the question that was submitted? What's the question of the day?
Alice is nervous now.
Alize, like, I forget. She was sitting there. She was listening.
She was
and
listening. She
put
was
her
like,
phone away.
oh, ask if men should get manicures.
It's the support thing. What was that one?
Supporting your spouse when they're
supporting your spouse
and you're not.
Oh.
when they're having a difficult
Supporting your spouse when they are having a difficult season and you are not. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, another one was like, if you don't like who your spouse is friends with, how do you navigate that?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, that was the one. I guess we could take either or, but we'll
And I
do
guess
different.
you could do different POVs, like dating versus marriage. Is that the same?
Yeah, they completely different.
Different.
Okay.
When you dating, you ain't got no opinion on nothing until you put a ring on it, a finger on it, a ring on that finger. You ain't got
Toe on
you
it.
ain't got no say.
Knuckles on it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to our relationship during difficult times, I think there have been seasons of what that would be. So like the difficult time, I think in our marriage, obviously we've talked about intimacy on your end, but when it comes to difficult, I would say, ever since my dad passed away,
Yeah, that was a difficult season for you.
When my dad passed away, it was a really difficult season.
But even leading up to it, like he was in hospice.
He was in and out of the hospital,
and when Matthias was a newborn-ish, toddler newborn.
Yeah, 1 year old.
Or infant toddler.
Yeah.
And you wanted to go over their house a lot
all the
and
time.
all that stuff like that. Yeah, sleepover and everything like that.
Yeah, but it was one of those things where I feel like the navigation of the grief in that season of my life, which I still feel like does affect me with his passing, because there's, from my experience, I would say is after my dad's passing, a level of anxiety started to creep up, of just fears and anxiety and unknown and thoughts. And I would even say the enemy implementing these thoughts of fear. So there's a lot of conversations where you and I would have of where I'd be like, I'm not good, or I don't feel good, or just asking questions. Are my feelings valid? Can I feel this way? And is it normal to feel this way? Because, for example, my dad passing away, the anxiety of like, how do I keep my family alive? How, and there's no way that I can do that, but like making sure that Matthias is good, Thomas is good now, that you're good, that I'm good, my health. So there's levels of anxiety that started to creep up. And part of me, I would say, I'm a hypochondriac when it comes to those areas, as far as like, if I get a bump, I got to get inspected. If I have a cough, I need to go to the doctor. If Matthias bumps his head, or temperature, it became consuming to where you supported me in a lot of areas of like, what would make your life less anxious? Mm-hmm. What can I do as a spouse to make you less anxious? And majority of the times is me talking about it. Mm-hmm. me telling you how I feel in those moments and you not just saying, pray about it.
Yeah, or get over it.
Get over
can't
it.
change the past or whatever. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
Stop overthinking.
Yeah.
It was, you heard me, and then you would give me tools of, I think you need to be in prayer. How much have you been in your word lately? What does that look like? Maybe you shouldn't be on the internet as much, or maybe you shouldn't go straight to Google when that happens, or, hey, Ash, take a breather. And it wasn't that you diminished anything I was feeling or you made me feel less than because I had these emotions, because you were a supportive husband, knowing that you haven't had a father that has passed away. You don't, you felt with me in your emotions and were empathetic, but you also still allowed me to still feel human and support me. But you didn't let me stay there. If it would have dragged on, and that's what I love about our team between you and I, is like, if it were drag on, you'd be like, okay, then therapy, counseling, calling somebody, mentor, this can't drag on because your faith needs to be stronger than this.
Yeah.
And so you can speak to that if you.
No, yeah, that when you were going through that, there were a couple things like it was a tough season for you. I obviously I have a really chaotic schedule. Even then, I had a chaotic work schedule. So it's like you'd want to go visit your parents or your dad, even stay the night at times with Matthias. I obviously want to be around my wife and first time parent, and really having to make that decision to say, okay, in 15 years, what's going to really matter? These couple hours or these couple days that Ashlee's, that they would be at home or whatever, or, because we were always positive and believing God, your dad's going to be better. And a lot of people walk into naivety to think, because even and I've shared before, but like, even when your dad passed, like there were certain regrets that I had. And I feel like I had a great relationship with your dad and we would talk all the time, but would he have reciprocated, me checking on him every day or something? Yeah, he would have loved that. Or just even including him in certain things that I easily could have, that he would have loved, that I felt like I had, I had only been married to you for 5 years. So it's like, I feel like I got, the whole road ahead. I don't need to invite Tom to everything or whatever. And then even my dad, people do or don't know this about, but my dad hates going to stuff. He has like OCD. So he has to do the same thing every day. Has the same routine, same schedule. So anything that takes my dad, even if he wants to do it, he's still anxious until he can go back to his routine. So my dad's not one. Even if you invite my dad to something, he's going to be there 30 minutes tops. He's going to get anxious. Then he's going to go back into his routine. So I'm just approaching every relationship like my dad's. And even my dad never liked talking about when my dad had cancer, illness, sickness. So, hey, don't call me, don't check on me. So then I just take that into all relationships. Yeah. I'm not going to check on Tom. I'm not going to bring it up. I'm not going to, and so you think you have more time and you think that they're going to be better and we got faith and all this stuff like that. And then, the Lord reveals he had another plan to take him home, to relieve him of his earthly pain. And so, like I even sit there obviously on the back end when you pass, you processing what you could have done, what you should have done, what could have been better, but also saying, you got to release grief and all this stuff. So even as I'm processing, mainly processing with you, who this is your dad who raised you. And so as you're in that season, it's okay, awareness of where I'm at, but then awareness to say, okay, in 10, 15, 20 years, what's going to matter? Me putting my foot down and saying, no, Ashlee, you've been at your parents' house 3 days this week. I think in the course of 6 months, you probably would spend, 2 to 3 days a week at your parents, if not more. And then oftentimes, 2 days back to back. So I'd be going home, empty house, sleeping by myself, whatever it is. And, it was, it was me having to process, because you would, you were sweet enough that you would ask, hey, do you mind if I go a couple days, or do you mind, my family? Because, when you have a loved one that's sick, your family tends to, if they're still able to be mobile, like they pick up speed and kind of life experiences. So your parents are going to, Zion National Park, and they're going camping, and they're, because, well, how much time do we have? So your parents were staying relatively busy, creating memories, even with each other. Yeah. And so then you're saying, hey, you mind if I go? And I'm like, in one regard, I'm like, yeah, I do mind. I got to work. I got to actually be here. Why do like, you're going to take time off, but then I'm going to want to actually go on vacation. But then, you're using your time off to go do that with your family. So then therefore, what do I go on vacation by myself when that day comes? So there's all that stuff going on where honestly, a lot of people end up thinking very selfishly, like, no, I don't want you to go camping with your parents, with my new son. I want to go camping with my son, and I can't, and I got to do. And I had to make very conscious decisions to say, at the end of the day, what will matter a decade from now? And I chose what will matter a decade from now is that my wife is going to have moments with her dad that mean the world to her, and even, some of your other family members who were able to have such a flexible schedule. So them even having peace to say, okay, well, at least Ashlee's there, with mom and dad, at least, so I have to bring in the whole perspective picture that, like, when my spouse is going through something, whether it's with our family or internally with anxiety or whatever, it's what's going to matter in the long run. What's going to matter most to them? How can I support the health of our marriage in more of a perspective of 10 years down the line, rather than, like, well, you're annoying me. All this fear is annoying. I don't want to go to, the emergency room, or I don't, or you need to just go see a doctor because I'm sick of you crying. It's okay. Well, you could say that, but your spouse is always going to remember that, 10 years from now, if they are healthier, they're gonna be like, oh, I remember that season when that was hard. My spouse sucked, So it's like, for me, I'm like, I don't want that to deter from, and like you said, like, there's, times I may have to, put my foot down and say it's nothing, stop, but I have that leverage because I'm not doing it every time. Yeah. And so it's been trying to support those seasons, mainly, like, we went through the season that was hard for you with your dad, but then probably about 2 years later, because it's been 5 years, you start getting diagnosed with, like, true anxiety and your heart rate and all these other things like that were affecting. So then looking at, okay, medication, counseling, all that kind of stuff like that. And so, easily it could be overwhelming, even on the other side of support, because it feels like you're supporting every day. Like, every day, okay, it's but it's also, you're healthier now because we took it step by step, supported, all that kind of stuff like that, rather than if it was just a prolonged issue that we always just dealt with and argued over, and didn't want to encourage you to find support or do the things that you need to do. Then we would what I would say is like a hamster wheel. We would still be in that hamster wheel of every day, a frustration. So even your grief with your dad, like 9 months, a year later, you were, crying hard in the bed, and you were like, you said something like, I feel like I'm just not. Am I allowed to feel this way? I'm supposed to be a Christian, and I'm angry, and I have grief and sadness and this and that, and you were like, you basically were like, am I a bad Christian for still feeling, that this grief and anger and emotion that my dad's not with me anymore, and I, my response was no. It's completely appropriate. What would be inappropriate is if you stop your life right now and you live in this cycle every single day for the rest of your life. Right. Then you are not living out your Christian call. But I said, but as these emotions come, at times, embrace them, but then release them. Right. So have the sadness, have the tears, have the, have a day where you feel like you can't get anything done because you're grieving so much, but tomorrow's a new day, and God has new mercies, and like you don't, because we've counseled or met people before too, that's like they live in something that they lost their dad 20 years prior, and they're like, yeah, we just haven't done anything since. I just, I haven't, and they've told us I haven't been able to get over it. And you're just like, well, you're not doing them proud, and you're also yourself. You're allowing yourself to stay in this in a cycle of grief that isn't healthy. There is healthy grief, and there's unhealthy grief, and there's also there's healthy, not healthy anxiousness, but anxiousness is a part of life, and so there's a healthy way to go through it, and there's also an unhealthy way to go through anxiety and other things like that. And then there's some that's just chemical and needs deep therapy and all that kind of stuff, which is kind of a separate matter. But yeah.
And so even talking about like the anxiety side of things, I think I remember because we've made these statements before, like to be anxious for nothing, and the word tells us to be anxious for nothing. And growing up with our parents, our Christian parents, they would always kind of say, pray about it, seek God for it. It's really not there. That's just a you thing, kind of.
Yeah.
And so
it's a faith problem.
So the first time ever that because my mom is one as well, that she is a decree and declare, and don't declare that over you. Don't speak that over you. The power of life is in the tongue. Power of life and death is in the tongue. So there was things that she would say, but as we've gotten older, she's started to obviously open up, recognize more things. So I think at one point when I was telling her, and I was honest, and she was just like, how have you been? How's the thyroid? How's all that? And this was a couple years ago. And I was like, I feel like I've been anxious a lot lately, just over little things. And she's like, really? And so I was like, yeah. And so then she's like, we were in Israel one time, and I had to get off the bus, and Nancy and I think everyone was there. We had the kids, and I was like, I got to get off. Like I can't breathe. Like I'm like getting anxious, and it just came up. I couldn't breathe, and my mom has her peppermint. She's like, deep breathe, deep breathing, and all that stuff. So I can calm down. So I calm down, crying, all of that things, and then I'm just like, okay, I'm good. So then after that trip, my mom, for the first time ever, she was one where she decreed power and life, powers in the tongue. She told me, she goes, I want to tell you this, but I don't want to tell you this. But my family, my mom's one of 11, she has a history, her family has a history of anxiety, of like chronic, of like from my grandpa to her brothers and sisters and now my cousins. And so she was telling me this, but she was also like, I don't want to say it to you to believe that that's what you that's you, Ashlee. But I just want you to be aware. And so she just threw that out there, and in reality, it almost gave me more peace when she said it. And I think I brought it up to you of like not accepting that, because anxiety, I don't even, a lot of people can explain it better than I can. I just know when it happens, and I know the feeling behind it. It's unexplainable. So when it was almost releasing for her to say that, not to say that I can live in those moments of when the anxiousness comes up, but to say, you know what, I got to focus on this. I got to make sure that I'm healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, to make sure that I do have control over myself. And when anxiety starts to creep in, or thoughts of anxiousness, that I need to be grounded in how I want to react to it. And so I know you and I had talked, and I had went to the doctor about getting on medicine. And I looked at you and I said, Adam, I don't want to get on medicine because the side effects outweigh the anxiousness of what I saw. And so, I mean, maybe you could speak to what anxiety is more as well, because I know there was a season, I wouldn't say a season, but you had expressed one time that in ministry, you had overwhelming anxiousness when you were putting on at the arena, the Citizens Bank.
Maybe I've worded that. You know, I've never struggled with anxiety, but I've struggled with depression before. They can bleed, but honestly, anxiousness and anxiety and that phobia, I don't think I've ever, honestly, I don't think I've ever experienced that in the way that that's put. But depression, you know, yes, you know, fear of failure and all that kind of stuff like that. So but yeah, I mean, we're, our family as best as possible, especially because my dad's cancer, we try to take more of a holistic approach as much as possible. And so what we tend to look at more medicine is what tends to be more homeopathic and stuff. So even when we go to the doctors, specifically even with you, it was, let's try to look at homeopathic things. Even when you got diagnosed with Graves' disease, we ended up deciding a medicine was best, but even our homeopathic doctor said, yes, this is an emergency. You need to go on traditional medicine, but let's not make a habit of it that it stays in your life. And it hasn't. And so, we believe traditional medicine is important, and there are times that it's important, but overall, holistically, homeopathic, natural things, things that God created, we believe that a lot of God's creation, God has given us medicine through his own land,
Right.
And so, doctors and scientists and medication is good, and it's important to do it when necessary. But when you can, try to give what your body can naturally kind of decompose and exit out on its own. So, I mean, individuals that I know and that have struggled with anxiety, have heard really good things with, CBD, and they take the THC out. They separate, which is the psychedelic component of marijuana, and the CBD is the medicinal component of it. And so more so individuals that I know that choose homeopathic who've even struggled with anxiety, they have expressed that CBD has helped tremendously and doesn't inhibit any of their receptors or the psychedelic component. So, there's medications and pills, but like you said, there's side effects. There's, either bodily side effects, emotional side effects, sleep consciousness, restlessness in your sleep, whatever. So there are these side effects with a lot of traditional composite medications, whereas with homeopathic, there might be side effects, but they're normally very far and few between. And, it tends to be as it's in your system, it's there. And then when it leaves your system, it's gone. And so we look more positively at that. Anytime we struggle with anything bodily, we may go to a traditional doctor to get the scan or the whatever, and then allow them to make their medications. And then we'll go straight homeopathic doctors and then say, okay, here's what we've been diagnosed with.
Right.
What do you recommend that we do? And then they'll, share and do research and homework and all that kind of stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, other than my, severe diagnosed ADHD, which that I've chosen to untreat.
Right.
After being treated for a number of years, I chose not to treat, which, I mean, I guess if you talk about supporting your spouse, and I maybe we have talked about it on the podcast, but like you support me a lot with my ADHD, because I have consciously chosen to untreat it,
Right.
Because I don't want the side effects of being on anything to inhibit what I think makes me special and allows me to do what it is that I do. So, that does come with, and that for sure we've talked on the podcast before, but that comes with, certain disadvantages in the home, my attention span, remembering things. I put the milk the other day in the cereal cabinet and all that stuff like that. So
Did we not tell you this? Oh my gosh.
yeah, it was literally, honestly, it was the day. For Beyond the Letter, Will and I did an episode on ADHD, and I talked about how, mine is pretty severe and debilitating. And that night, I get home late at night, and I go to make a bowl of cereal, and I left the cabinet open like I do all the time. Not every time, but often, because, for those that don't struggle with ADHD, and on top of that, like a debilitating version of ADHD, the moment your mind comes upon a new thought. So when you're in a thought, you are highly attentive towards it. But if something gathers a larger importance in your mind of thought, it's not that you don't make a choice. You don't have a choice. Your mind moves on. So like, let's just say I am in the middle of cooking, and I get a text that text, the information or the way that I got to respond is far more important than finished cooking. You'll find me in the backyard on the phone, stove on, and there's nothing in my head said, oh, turn the stove off, like a normal person would do. Like, oh, I can answer that later, set that down, or they can build a level of importance in their head. Well, ADHD and debilitating it, it's like what's in front of them is what's in front. If it's important and it becomes value important. So then as I was making cereal, I had gotten a text. Oh, shoot, I got to answer this. It was a work thing. Boom, 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 boom. So then as I'm doing it, my mind, you just go into, just normal mode. So I just put the cereal down, boom, put the milk away, blah, blah, blah. And so then I'm eating the cereal and I didn't close the cabinet. I'm looking up and then the milk's right next to the cereal box. And I was like, dang. So then I took a picture to the group text with that Will's on, and because it was just after that episode, and I was like, this is basically ADHD summarized in one picture, which is what it is.
It to me, yeah. I was like,
yeah. And early on in our relationship, specifically our marriage, Ashlee would get, somewhat frustrated. Like, why is this? Why'd you leave the door open, or
left the door unlocked, the garage door is open, the front door. Like,
yeah.
I've been bad with that.
Or the fridge is open. The fridge is open, or why can't you just put these things here? That doesn't make any sense, because people with ADHD, like certain things have to be in a certain place for memory, but it doesn't. It's not natural. It doesn't make any sense all the time. It's just because I know that's where that is. So she would get frustrated with that stuff, and then I try to do better, and then I just do it again, and then I do it again, and then and I wouldn't be like, oh, Ashlee, use like my ADHD like as a cop out. It was a genuine like, dang, I'm so sorry, and like, why are you so stupid? It's like it's like you're hard on yourself. Like, why do you like that is dumb. You left the door open. So, and but then at the same time, it's like, okay, well, I could treat it, which I've been treated before, and I didn't like that version of myself, and Ashlee never met that version of me, which she would probably like, but she would also, you wouldn't get the Adam, who's in technology and marketing and branding and leads a church and this to the degree that I do, because I'm 8 people with ADHD. Most entrepreneurs have ADHD, and on top of that, they have an ability to multitask in a way that is unique than the average person. So that would essentially all go away. So it would be like, you could be like, Adam, what are you passionate about? When I'm was on Adderall, I was like, I don't know. Like, to me, I'm passionate about 20 things because it's in front of me. When I was on Adderall, it was just like, I don't know. I have goals, and I do them. I do the tasks. It wasn't like a passion. So yeah, you supported me with that. You supported me with my hormone imbalances. As I've gotten older and led a lot more, and many people know I'm on testosterone and other things like that. And so, just like as each spouse will have seasons that there's stuff they're navigating. You've been supportive through that. You didn't ever make me feel like less of a man or anything like that, as I supported you in your season of grief or anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great point, because I think it's a reflective on how well we do in those seasons, because sometimes the seasons will flip, and we have to be mindful as spouses. Like, one season your wife may be good or not so good, and you're good. How are you going to react? How are you going to support? How are you going to support? And then on the other end, it could be the husband not in a good season. And there are some petty couples that have great memory that will go back to, I was in that season and you did not care.
Yeah, why can't you just support me? Well, because you didn't support me. Yeah. Yeah.
And I remembered. And so as being married and being a team, and through sickness and in health of whatever that may look like, and it's not actual sickness of being sick, it could be mentally, it could be physically, emotionally, like you're not sick, but like career. There's a moment where that side is not as fruitful in that season. And how are you going to support your spouse? Because a lot of people will remember that. Like, when I got my Graves' disease and you were super supportive, if you weren't supportive and when you needed your appendix removed, I was like, I didn't know what to do in those moments. Because when Adam's in pain, it's not funny, but I don't understand it because I'm like, I don't. Are you being serious? Like there's like I don't like there's like. No, I'm not even kidding. Like his face, like when he was saying his stomach hurt and I'm like, I have oil and I'm like praying. I'm like, maybe it's your digestive, hon. Maybe you are honestly, some people have gone to the hospital for gas.
Yeah.
And I'm literally like, I'm rebuking the enemy. Like you got gas, rubbing his belly. I'm like, and he's like,
But
oof.
I'm not. Yeah.
No, and he's like, oof. I'm that serious. Like there's not no tears, but it's, oof. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, does this hurt? Like me, I'm like, oh my God, that would be me. Like, and then
and the ER refused to test me because
he didn't.
They took my temperature and they took my heart rate and it was all fine.
All fine.
So then the doctor was like,
You like calm during crisis.
It was crazy.
My whole life, my everyday is crisis.
Life, literally.
Yeah.
No joke.
So
no.
the doctor was like, because it was a leakage in my appendix, and he was like, number one, it's our mistake. 'Cause I waited 9 hours to be seen overnight from 9 p.m.
he could go
to 6
septic
a.m.
if it comes out. Like
Yeah.
that's acid. That's acid in your belly.
But he said the reason why we didn't test you for it is because you had no elevated heart rate, you had no fever, you had not you were fine. You were just in the corner holding your stomach, and Jermaine was there with me the whole time, and he just said the same thing. I was just kind of unconscious, but I didn't yell.
So
I wasn't,
I'm like, do I need to call 911?
So
because it was late at night. I have the boys, and I'm like, who's gonna come right now? Like, because I told him, I said, go to the emergency room. I'll stay with the boys. Go to the emergency room. Drive to the emergency room. 10 minutes pass by, and I'm like, something's telling me to check his location. I'm like, 10 minutes goes by. I'm like, something said check his location. He's in the driveway. He didn't leave. He didn't say anything. He's like, Ashlee, I'm in too much pain.
I couldn't start the car.
I couldn't start the car. I can't. And I said, oh, I'm calling 911. He was like, no. I said, okay, I'm going to call Jermaine. So I called Jermaine. Jermaine drives right over. Thank goodness. Takes him to the ER. Because if not, I was calling 911. I have the boys. I think your parents were out of town. Or it was just that late that I was like, I can't call anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, I know Nathan would have came, but I'm like, who is going to be the least amount of interrupted and closest? And I was like, Jermaine, he's up the street. And so I was like, I need you to get here and I need you to take Adam. He's like, really? And I was like, yes. And so honestly, if he's bitten, Adam stabbed his own self in the leg and he's like this, and I'm like, does it hurt?
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't seem, nothing. Like, and it sounds like I'm not over exaggerating. That is literally how he does it. So I'm like, I'm like, oh my God, like women just, you can see the pain. There is no pain. He's literally this, And I'm like, bro, you good? It hurts. You're fine. So that's where like, now when he had the appendix, I'm like, if he can't drive, I'm panicking. I'm like, it's something more. I'm like, that ain't gas. Mm-hmm. And so then he goes in, and then obviously taking care of making sure his mom comes over and her baby take care of.
Yeah. She didn't do anything but watch
just went to
Netflix next to me
and lay next to her baby. Oh yes. But in those moments, we have kids.
Yeah, you supported, but also you were like, you took the kids, but
and
you were like,
mom.
like, hey, I have your mom coming. I think you'll feel better with your mom here than with just me here. Because also Ashlee isn't very, motherly towards me. Yeah. In that, so with her boys, she is, her sons, but with me, she's not extremely much. So she recognizes, okay, this is a weakness. I could fake it, but it's like, but let me just call Adam's mom. Yep. Have her stay. So she stayed multiple days with me. Well, Ashlee was at the house, but I had emergency surgery. So I went in at 9 p.m. Finally got tested at 6 a.m.
Surgery at 4.
Decided I need for surgery, but the next open operating room wasn't until 4 or 5. Mm-hmm. So then still was there, and it was they just gave me some painkillers at that point, and then surgery by 5 in the car heading home by 9 p.m.
Yep.
So that night.
Yes.
with surgery performed, put me to sleep and everything like that, and took my appendix out.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And then literally I leave 9 p.m.
Yep.
that day, and then 10 p.m. that night I'm home. I went to sleep. I was
Yep.
groggy still from the anesthesiologist. And then the next day, Ashlee was like, "Oh, I have your mom here. She's gonna come for the next couple of days." Ashlee was still there and around and hanging out
with
and
the
stuff.
boys,
But
Yeah.
But like some people would be like, "No, I don't want my husband's mom getting the credit for this. I know my husband wants his mom right now or would benefit from it, but I'm not gonna do that because." I want to be his savior. Now, if there's an unhealthy relationship towards that where, your husband disrespects you and only wants his mom, okay, like, yeah. But even then, is that the time to, plant the flag in the sand?
Absolutely.
Is it, post-surgery?
Mom had even asked. She was like,
I've never broke a bone and I've never had surgery in my life. So for me, it was really scary.
Yeah.
I've never been put to sleep. I've never broke a bone. I've never had a cast. I hadn't been to the doctor since I was 13. When I was in the Kaiser system last year.
They had no idea. They literally looked at me and they go, "He has no insurance." The last time he had insurance, he was under Diego and Cindy Mesa. And I said, "I'm sorry, here's his card. He does have insurance."
Here's all his insurance.
I had all his information.
Yes.
Yes. 100%. Yeah. So I was there I was
So they
very
come and they're like,
supportive
"Oh,
during that
the
whole
surgery is
time.
going to cost, $15,000 or whatever." And I was like, "No, that can't. No, I have insurance." They're like, "No, sir, you haven't been to Kaiser since you were 13.
And then he's like, "My wife will come in," and I came in, so I was supported that whole time. So I was there,
like,
the
hold
whole
on.
surgery, all of that. When it came to the home, his mom messaged and was like, "Is there anything I can do? I can be there if you need me to. I can help however you want, or I can just honestly lay with him." So her saying numerous things, I've never wanted to either as well be the block between a mother and a son relationship, because that's going to be me. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I want to be able to sow the same seeds into my mother-in-law, because I'm going to be the mother-in-law. I'm not going to be the mom of the bride. I'm going to be the mother-in-law. So as much as I want to respect his mom, I'm praying to God, allow me to have good daughter-in-laws that will allow me to love my sons even in those times. Not that I would be overprotective or coddling, but in that moment I saw a mother just wants to honestly take a nap next to her son who had surgery, her son had surgery and like a health surgery. You know what I mean? Like it was something for his health where she's never experienced before. And I'm like, I'm not going to be that person to keep her from loving on her son in that moment. And it honestly helped me, because then she was able to love on my husband while I had to take care of them kids. Yeah. And then we had to host people and we had people in town. So she was a big blessing during that time. But then also she has that nurturing spirit. She's a very nurturing person and very...
Except to her husband, Diego.
Well, yeah.
So you and her are very similar. Yeah, because she mom's definitely not nurturing to my dad. My dad could be on the corner with his leg needing to be amputated. She'd be like, "Well, call me when they done." No, I'm just kidding. My mom supports, but she's definitely not nurturing towards my dad. Yeah, but she does support.
Well, hey.
Yeah. Hey. Well, that's that for today's episode.
That's good.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Always appreciate you.
Yep.
Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment,
share.
Do the whole nine. Share this with somebody.
Yep.
And we'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.